Welcome to the graduates, colleagues, friends, and family, and congratulations again. I know many people have helped the graduates arrive at this special moment, parents and other caregivers, partners, friends, and others who are cheering you on today, as they have throughout your entire time here. And for that reason, I'd like to ask the graduates to stand, turn around to the audience, and give a round of applause to thank those who helped you on this journey. And I noticed that many of our graduates have brought their children. And I invite all of the children here to comment on today's ceremony in whatever way they see fit. You will help make this place feel alive as we look forward towards the future. I would also like to thank the staff who have worked tirelessly throughout the year. To help all of us and to make this graduation ceremony and all the other events incredibly special. They deserve another round of applause. And last but not least, I would like to thank the faculty who have served not only as teachers and colleagues, but also as mentors and friends. And it is with some sadness that I recognize the retirements of two faculty colleagues, Deborah Jewel Sherman and Judy McLaughlin. We will all miss their wisdom, their kindness, and many, many contributions to the community. But before we get too far along, I'd like to recognize those who came before us in the space we share today. Harvard University is located on the traditional and ancestral land of the Massachusetts, the original inhabitants of what is now known as Boston and Cambridge. We pay respect to the people of the Massachusetts tribe, past and present, and honor the land itself, which remains sacred to the Massachusetts people. We also acknowledge Harvard's entanglements with slavery and its many, many legacies, as the university's initiative on Harvard and the legacy of slavery made clear. Let us recognize the enslaved individuals who helped to build Harvard and other colleges around the world. Acknowledging our history is an important step in combating the erasure of important contributions, sacrifices, and stories of those before us. And it is a step towards ensuring a culture of awareness, respect, and accountability within our community. Now, in a moment, graduates, you will receive your diplomas. Well earned, and yes, as someone said, hallelujah. But first, I'd like to share a few thoughts as you look forward to your next chapter. We are living in a strange time, or at least a confusing time, when many of the things we see and hear just don't seem to make sense. School shootings, Supreme Court rulings challenging hard-won freedoms, extreme weather all over the world. Things feel quite surreal and demoralizing. We're at a time when the most basic lessons that we teach in kindergarten, like play fair, don't take things that aren't yours, and say sorry when you hurt someone, those things are being shunned by adults in the most dramatic ways. And more than that, crowds of adults cheer on this bad behavior as if it's something to be proud of. You, dear graduates, find yourself going out into the world during these bewildering times. And that's really saying something so soon after we just went through a global pandemic. Now, many of you came to HGSE because you wanted to learn to change the world. So now, as you graduate, how should you get started? Where do you begin when the problems seem immense and growing, and when common sense and common decency seem to be on the decline? My answer to you is this: there's always something you can do, a way you can contribute. I'm reminded of the beautiful poem by Amanda Gorman, the National Youth Poet Laureate and 2020 graduate of Harvard College, which she read at the inauguration of US President Biden in 2021. The final lines of the poem, "The Hill We Climb," resonated with me then, and they reverberate with me today. For there is always light, if only we are brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it. You are the light that HGSE contributes to the world. Joining together with 30,000 HGSE alumni around the world, you are an incredible force for good. Yes, the problems of the world are daunting, but all it takes is one voice, one gesture, one smile, the lighting of one candle to brighten the world even when it's at its darkest. As you consider what's next, there are big things you will do to change the world, bringing important improvements to scale, innovating to create new solutions, and building stronger communities. Regardless of whether you leave here to be a teacher, a principal, or a superintendent, a nonprofit leader or entrepreneur, a counselor, administrator, a faculty member, or a learning designer, you are prepared to do big things, and we can't wait to follow your progress. But don't underestimate the fact that smaller things can still have a mighty impact. As Mother Teresa said, "I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples." So I want to share with you some ideas about some of those meaningful ripples you can make and how you can use your light to work to change the world through education. So let's begin by highlighting the important act of shining light on injustice, especially during troubling times. Right now, our voices are sorely needed. Our education systems are under attack with the spread of laws that censor and suppress certain viewpoints, histories, and lived experiences, especially for historically marginalized groups. The media is filled with the bluster of those who seek to misconstrue, blame, or simply ignore real problems in the hope of gaining popularity and power. And although freedoms are challenged around the world, and authoritarian forces can be found in many countries, we're seeing some stunning examples here in the United States. Florida passed a law that prohibits classroom discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity, referred to as the Don't Say Gay law. Now, originally, it just pertained to the lower grades, but the legislature has extended the limitations all the way through high school. In fact, now there is a 5th grade teacher under investigation for showing a Disney movie about a family of explorers that happens to feature a gay character. Florida also passed the Stop Woke law, which limits students and teachers from learning and talking about issues related to race and gender. Moreover, recently the state passed a law that prohibits public colleges in Florida from spending money on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. As summarized by one reporter, essentially some Florida politicians have chosen to rally against students who wish to learn history that reflects their stories and cultures, and educators who dare to speak about our nation's true history. Now, it's important to note that over half of the students in Florida are Black or brown, with 22% of the K-12 student population in Florida being Black and another 37% being Hispanic. And yet teachers cannot expose students to materials that acknowledge the role of race and ethnicity in contemporary society, or as part of the United States' complex history. Let's be clear. When you erase the history or experience of one student to supposedly protect another, then you are making clear you believe there is only one type of student worth protecting. Now, unfortunately, these efforts extend far beyond Florida. There are at least 34 bills in the United States aimed at limiting diversity, equity, and inclusion in higher education, according to the Chronicle of Higher Education DIE legislation tracker. And there's been a nationwide escalation in book bans with a focus on books by authors of color, LGBTQ+ authors, and women. PEN America identified 1,477 instances of individual books banned, affecting 874 unique titles from July to December 2022 across 37 states. Now, some point to parents' rights, but as novelist, who also happens to be an HGC alumna, Jodi Polkett writes, there's nothing wrong with a parent deciding that a certain book is not right for her child. There is a colossal problem with a parent deciding, therefore, no child should be able to read the book. Even one of the most conservative appellate courts in the nation described Florida's anti-woke law as positively dystopian. So educators and education have been dragged to the front line of the culture wars, and the tactics being used are quite old. Limit information, share disinformation, and reduce opportunities to become educated. This misguided approach harms all students, regardless of their race. History is not there for you to like or dislike. It is there for you to learn from, and the erasure of certain viewpoints, histories, and lived experiences is not education, it's propaganda. Educators, including many, many, many of you, seek to free minds, to light a fire, as William Butler Yeats once said, and we must speak out about efforts to stifle what can be taught in developmentally appropriate ways. These political efforts fail to recognize that great teachers stimulate, provoke, and engage students with the issues of the complex world. The school environment is exactly where we need to engage multiple viewpoints, perspectives, and experiences, even those that expose us to the ugliness that humans are capable of. We must do this because it is the foundation for deeper learning and the development of critical thinking skills. If we do not prepare students for the diversity of the world and the innate dignity and respect of every single person, then we will end up not only with ignorance, but with hate. Be inspired by what Malala said, when the whole world is silent, even one voice becomes powerful. So use your light to expose injustice. With your newly minted Harvard degree, people are likely to listen to you a bit more closely. Now, that is our privilege, but it is also our responsibility, so do not take it lightly. Let us work to refocus the conversation so that we can advance what evidence shows us will improve the lives of students and communities. Okay, I know that was a little bit heavy. Had a few things on my mind. But I am happy to tell you that meaningful change can also come from doing something much closer to home. That's why my second point is to encourage you to use your light to lift up others, especially in your role as educators. Think of all the educators who have done this for you. I know that I have definitely benefited from the generosity of educators who took time to empower me. Like the professor who was generous with his time when, as an 18-year-old, I decided to drop by his office hours. I had no real agenda. I was just told that that's what college students are supposed to do. And this incredible scholar showed me tremendous patience and generosity. He asked me about my background and my interests, and he listened closely to every word I said. And as I prepared to leave, he didn't give me academic advice. Instead, he shared words I have never forgotten about the importance of taking risks. In the years that have followed, his encouragement and advice have often propelled me, even as he has spread the much broader lesson to the world that justice is what love looks like in public. Or I could point to the college administrator, a vice provost at the time, who cared enough to share words of encouragement with a small group of female undergrads. She talked about how she developed her career while also raising her children, revealing her challenges and triumphs not only as a leader, but also as a mother. And I didn't know it then, but she would go on to become a lifelong mentor and source of inspiration, going on to be the president of Smith College, and then the first African-American woman to lead an Ivy League university as the president of Brown University. This winter, she stepped down as president of Prairie View A&M University, and we were so pleased to have her as our convocation speaker yesterday. Of course, I am speaking about the inspiring Dr. Ruth Simmons, who clearly did not want me to give her an introduction, but she's wonderful nonetheless. But you don't have to look any further than the HGSC community to see excellent examples of the important impact educators can play and when they use their light to lift up others. Alexis Redding. The winner of the Morningstar Family Teaching Award this year exemplifies how an educator can invest and nurture their students. The Morningstar recipient is chosen each year based on nominations by all of you, HGSE students, for excellence in teaching, excellence in formal and informal advising, and evidence of a caring, respectful, and enthusiastic commitment to students. Alexis's nomination stood out. One student wrote, "Professor Redding has the unique ability to make all her students feel seen and valued in a manner that is authentic. This genuine care has not just led to every one of her students caring deeply about her, but it has also led us to caring deeply about one another." Thank you, Alexis. But it's not only Alexis who illustrates this point. Take, for example, one HGSE alumnus and what he had to say about Professor Judy McLaughlin and the video celebrating her retirement this spring. For the past 40 years, Judy has been an incredible leader, teacher, and advisor to over 900 students in the higher education program and over 1,000 college and university presidents who have sought her out for professional education and counsel. The student shared, "Judy, I trusted in you when I didn't even trust in myself. And 20 years later, I do not take it lightly when I say you saved my life. Thank you for taking the extra time and attention with a student like me. It was not because it was part of your job, but rather it is because of who you are I have been allowed on a path to become who I am." And it's also been amazing to hear students and alumni share stories about Professor Deborah Jules Sherman, the Gregory R. Anrig Professor of Practice and Education Leadership. Deborah has served as a public school educator and leader for 32 years, and she returned to HGSE to serve as director of the Urban Superintendent's Program and a core faculty member of the EDLD program. In Deborah's video, one student said, "You brought such light, such joy, and a sense of care to your teaching and to every one of our interactions that truly shifted my Harvard experience in a really positive and meaningful way. We know that you'll be rooting for us, and we, all of your former students, are in turn sending you tons of positive energy as you head into retirement. Our faculty and staff have modeled exactly what I'm urging you all to do. Take those examples with you. And thank you again. As educators, our impact has a compounding effect. The investment we've made in each one of you will have benefits that will multiply, reaching thousands and perhaps even millions. So while it may seem small, the ripple effects of small things can be extraordinary. And even after they are gone, our mentors and coaches stay with us. As Kareem Abdul-Jabbar recently wrote, "The great thing about great men is that long after their light has dimmed, their deeds still light our way." So investing in others is another important way to share your light. Now, while my first point focused on fighting against big problems, and my second point encouraged you to take seriously your role as educators to invest in others, my last point is a bit more personal. Sometimes the most impactful thing you can do is just show that you care. Let your light shine so brightly that others can see their way out of the dark. I learned this lesson most clearly as a parent. Now, of course, as a parent, you're constantly trying to demonstrate that you care. I'm a hugger. I like to surprise my kids with unexpected treats, and I try to listen closely as they rattle off yet another set of baseball statistics and their most recent video game scores. And I still kiss my sons and tell them I love them every night at bedtime. But it was during a heated moment that I truly came to understand the power of showing that you care. It was evening, and we were all tired from school and work. My two sons, Finley and Calvin, and my husband, Carl. It's their first time coming to my commencement, so. So you know those evenings when everybody's hungry, there's no obvious plan for dinner, and so it wasn't really surprising when the fighting began. Now, my older son, Finley, who was about 8 at the time, decided that this was the ideal time to push for something that he wanted. Now, I know I'm supposed to be preparing my kids for life and all, but it's a bit hard when they already know everything, or at least they think they do. So that evening, I pushed back, and things got heated quickly. Yes, I know, the dean of the ed school just revealed that she yells at her kids. Get over it, we're all human. Now, Finley was being stubborn, and it's clear where his stubbornness comes from, so neither one of us was willing to give an inch. We hit an impasse, and with complete frustration, my son yelled at me. He yelled that he hated me. Now, the first time you hear that as a parent, it rocks you. And for those of you lucky to have never heard those words, be thankful. Finley's words made me pause because it was clear we had reached a whole new level of conflict. I realized in that moment that how I responded could set our relationship on a troubling course. I could have reacted the way my parents would have. Now, let's be clear. I have never said I hate you to my parents for fear of, let's just say, old school punishment. But in that moment, I caught a glimpse of what Finley was really feeling. He was just a frustrated, discouraged little boy who felt powerless and was at his wit's end. And that was one of the many times as a parent that I truly understood the meaning of unconditional love. Given that I had failed to react to his words, Finley repeated, "I hate you." And so I simply told him the truth. "Well, I still love you." "What did you say?" My words had surprised him. "I still love you." And then he looked at me with curiosity. "Really?" "Yes, you may hate me, but I will always love you." It was an important moment for us. I thought I always knew how much I loved him, but this moment illustrated that sometimes you still need to say the words. And it's especially important to say those words when times are hard and confusing and heated. As Mr. Rogers said, or actually, I was very happy to meet him this morning on Harvard Yard. But as Mr. Rogers said, everyone longs to be loved, and the greatest thing we can do is let people know that they are loved. And that's true even when the love is already expected and has been expressed many times before. Now, this incident happened years ago, and Finley is now 15 and about 6 feet tall, for those of you who saw him. Hi, honey. I'm sorry to say that the frequency of our fights have increased a bit, but I don't think that surprises anyone who's ever met a teenager. However, Finley has never said those words to me again. And I'm told it's unusual for my 15-year-old son, the fact that he actually talks to me, and he talks to me constantly about the good, the bad, and the trials and tribulations of 9th grade. Since that moment, it's as if we both know that regardless of what happens, love is always there. And you might wonder about my younger son, Calvin. Well, Calvin has never told me that he hates me, but he's only 13, so we have a bit of time. Now, I didn't share that story with you to expose my imperfections as a parent in a moment when I think I did get it right. No, my point isn't about parenthood at all. It's that sometimes people just need to know you care. Again, let your light shine so brightly that others can see their way out of the dark. That's something that everyone here can do. Using our voices to express care and support is especially critical right now for our friends, our families, our acquaintances, and even strangers. Even before the COVID-19 pandemic, mental health challenges were the leading cause of disability and poor outcomes in young people. And from 2009 to 2019, the proportion of high school students reporting persistent feelings of sadness and hopelessness increased by 40%. The last few years have been especially rough, and it's estimated that more than 140,000 children in the U.S. lost a parent or grandparent caregiver to COVID. And since the pandemic began, rates of psychological distress among people, young and old, has increased dramatically. We've all been through more than just a public health crisis, the reckoning over social justice issues, an increase in hate crimes, constant instances of gun violence, increasingly polarized political dialogue, and growing concerns about climate change. Amidst all this, an expression of care can mean the world. It can be as simple as, I'm here for you. You are not alone in this. Or, you matter. You matter. Or as I learned with Finley that day long ago, I still love you. As Leo Tolstoy wrote, just one candle lights another and can light thousands of other candles. So one heart illuminates another heart and can illuminate thousands of other hearts. So to summarize, there's always something you can do, even during troubling times. You are the light that HGSC gives to the world. So shine your light on injustice, use your light to lift up others, and be someone's shining light so they can see their way out of the dark. But before you do any of those, or maybe while you're doing them, we've got some celebrating to do. Now, you've earned it and made the unwavering encouragement and support you've received up until this moment carry you through the next step in your careers. Now, let's celebrate with your friends and family and continue to be the light that our world needs.